Welcome to the Women in Publishing Summit. I'm Alexa Bigwolf, your host of this summit. Really happy to bring Kathy Meis on board. Her company, Publish, well, they're always doing new and fantastic things to help authors market, sell, distribute their book, all kinds of fun stuff. But Kathy, you may have heard in previous interviews, has such a broad range of knowledge because she runs a tech company that's also a marketing company that's also a publishing and distribution company. And every time we interview her, it's just like oodles of information. So get out your workbook, get ready to take some notes, and just get ready for a ride here, because who knows where it's going, but it's going somewhere good. So let me tell you the details about her. Kathy Meis is an entrepreneur, writer, and editor with more than 25 years of experience in the media and publishing industry. She's worked for such iconic editorial brands as CBS and Forbes, where she reported directly to Tim Forbes. No small feat there. Kathy served as a founding partner of PubSmart, an author-centric publishing conference held in the beautiful Charleston, South Carolina, which is right down the road from me. Mm-hmm. And she is also a frequent blogger and speaker on a wide variety of topics. She is a very sought after expert in the topic of independent publishing and disruption in the publishing industry, which I love. She's spoken at Book Expo America, Women in Media, Grub Street, PubSmart, AuthorU, Indie Recon, and all kinds of other places. But what's really cool about her is that she was also a Peace Corps volunteer in North Africa, and she is the mother of 4 children. So she is all over the place and in it everywhere. Thank you, Kathy, for coming back again.
Yeah, I'd love to come back. It's a great conference. I love that you do this. Thanks for having me.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Okay. So we were kind of discussing offline, like where on earth we go, because there's so many things that Kathy could talk to us about. I might just do a Kathy and Alexa conference one year. Just interview Kathy on 25
topics. We would not
topics.
run out of things to talk about, would we? No, I think we would probably just go and go and go. That's great.
Yes. Eventually we're going to do a live conference in Charleston, right?
Yes.
Eventually.
Yes. Definitely on the radar.
So Publish is a tool that I use and we talk about all the time, because from the simplest standpoint as an author trying to sell a book, it's a very, very easy tool to go in, to load your book, to do fun things for marketing, to use social media, to share snippets, to build an author platform, to create buzz around your book, to create your book, to do all these really cool things. I'm going to invite you to go to publish.com and check it out when we finish this, because what I really want her to talk about today is distribution of the books. And then we'll move into some other things if we have time. And the reason I think this is so important is because all of the things, the marketing, the quality of your book, the metadata behind the book, all of those things, if you're not properly distributed, don't really matter, because you have to be in the right places. So when I hear someone come to me and says, okay, I published my book, or I'm getting ready to publish my book, I'm only putting it on Amazon, the question always comes down to, should I only be on Amazon? Should I be other places? Kathy's going to talk through this with us and explain why you want to go wider, right?
Yeah. And, the interesting thing is not every book belongs in every channel. So, one of the things that I like to talk to authors about early in the publishing process is thinking about distribution channels dependent on the kind of book you're writing, right? So we're really big about positioning, and that's like the first phase of publishing, is thinking about where does your book as an information or entertainment product fit in this very crowded, competitive marketplace. And so, if you're a genre fiction writer, KU is a great program for you on your first novel discovery. It has a lot of flaws. It has been gamed by a lot of people. The payouts are going down, but if you have certain goals, it can make sense to you. I'm going narrow has its benefits for certain phases of people's career, or certain types of careers, certain goals. But again, it's about your goals. I'm a believer in going wide for a lot of reasons, but again, certain books do better in certain channels. And so understanding the channels where you need to be because of the type of book you're writing is something that I think a lot of self-published authors don't even know they're supposed to think about that at the beginning of their journey. But there's decisions you have to make around the way the book is packaged, even if you have to be in a physical space, that have to have a binding that gives you a spine that's thick enough to put writing on. People don't even know that, right? So it's just these little details that can come back to bite you later if you don't actually map out and learn about your distribution channels very early in the process. Because as a publisher of your own work, that's something that you'll be doing.
Yeah. Well, that's such a good point. I mean, it wasn't until Digital Book World this last year where I was having a conversation with Amy Collins, who is also a guest.
Brilliant. Yeah.
Wonderful. Oh my gosh, so much knowledge.
Smart.
But I have published multiple children's books in paperback only. And she said it's not impossible, but it's kind of impossible to get a paperback children's book into a library in particular, and into a bookstore. Bookstores are easier than libraries in this, because one, you have to have the spine that they can see on the shelf, and two, the durability factor when you're checking out books and things like that. So these types of things that you don't even, like Kathy said, know to even think about will make such a big difference in your publishing strategy. I do want to say though, there's always, like, if you don't panic, if you've done hear something and are like, oh my gosh, I didn't do that. The beauty of self-publishing is that there's no rules in terms of like redoing and fixing and publishing another edition and adding on and going wider or going smaller or whatever. So, well, you mentioned the word KU, so Kindle Unlimited. And KDP Select basically means, just a quick thing here, if you're not familiar with it, it means you basically give all your e-rights, your e-copy rights to Amazon, and you say Amazon's the only person who can sell this. So, where are some of the other places that people would consider selling their book, and why?
Yeah, so if you're going wide, you've got iBooks. They have new leadership there. I think we're going to see some really interesting things. It's called Apple Books now. I have to keep remembering that. And then, Barnes and Noble Press has also new dashboards, new exposure for their indie authors. We'll see what comes out of that. Kobo, the Canadian company, has some interesting new partnerships. Their parent company bought Overdrive, which is the ebook venue into most libraries. So if you're at your library and you want to read an ebook from your library, chances are you access Overdrive. They have the most market share. And so Kobo's parent company purchased that Overdrive. So there's new venues into the library market. And that's not an easy place to get into on your own, right? So they've made that easy. There's Google Play, which is, your Android devices, and has a lot of international sales. Usually that's great for lower price point books, is what we see there. But it's also got great SEO to be in Google Play, because Google has such great snippets that they put up for books, and there's some discoverability there. So each channel, I think, has its unique tools that you can use. Amazon by far, Kindle Direct Publishing has the most tools with Amazon ads, which are a wonderful offering. I do believe you'll start to see more marketing tools for that. There's also, on the print side, I should say, Kindle Direct Publishing for print now. CreateSpace was what it used to be called. It's all been merged into Kindle Direct Publishing, which makes things a little bit more cohesive for the user experience. And then there's Ingram Spark as well. which is, going like gangbusters, and gives you access to a lot of the traditional channels and databases where you wouldn't appear. At Publish in distribution for print, we do both Ingram Spark and KDP, mostly because of the margins.
Yeah.
You just don't ever do one thing. It's a term you'll hear, extended distribution is never advised. Just get into all those channels separately, because you'll get a better profit per unit sold. And then we do native uploads to all of the ebook retailers that I mentioned, but we use Ingram Spark and KDP Print for print.
Okay, so for somebody who's already published their book or is well in the process, like all of that makes sense. But for somebody who's just thinking about it, and some of it may be completely new. I know plenty of people that they just uploaded their book to Amazon and thought they were good to go, and they checked expanded distribution and thought, okay, I'm already distributed to Ingram Spark and to Barnes and Noble and to all these other places. But what does that really mean when you check that little expanded distribution on Amazon? And are you really distributed?
Well, I mean, you are technically, but
you're
it's
the
a
system.
matter of discoverability. It's a matter of access to the tools that the channel offers. And one of my predictions for 2019, 2020 is you're going to see all of these distribution channels offering self-published authors more tools to sell their books. Many of them will be paid tools, but it gives you that leverage in the channel to actually become visible, right? So you can go into these enormous channels. You're there. Extended distribution can get you in the channel. Are you discoverable in that channel? Maybe not. So each channel, I actually tell authors who are just learning about it and thinking about distribution channels to make a spreadsheet. Go and open a Google spreadsheet or an Excel sheet and put down, for each of the formats where you think you would be distributed, what it looks like, what the requirements are, what tools do they offer you to be able to market your book in that channel. I know like Kobo has introduced some new marketing tools to their authors. And again, I really do think you're going to see more of that because it's been very successful for Amazon and for the authors who use Amazon to have those ads. Literally map out, are you going to release in all those channels at once? Is there a reason not to? Is there, do those channels, Ingram really, to me, has a more traditional seasonal flow to it. We've taken to doing seasonal discounting for our authors around the fall American bookseller discovery shows, because we know that's when the book buyers are looking for higher discounts and returnability. But you don't have to be returnable or at the highest discount all the time if you're not really driving sales during that period. So there's a lot to learn, and it's a good thing to just have that spreadsheet and start to gather information and put your articles in there and learn about each channel, what you need to be successful in it.
So I would say that for many people who are not full-time writers in this thing, so we have a lot of women who are building businesses, and a book is a tool to use their business. They're listening to you right now thinking, no, ma'am, I don't want to learn all of that stuff. I don't want another spreadsheet. I don't want to know what any of that stuff you just said even means, other than that I need to know to be aware of it.
Yes.
I don't know what you mean by bigger discounts and discounting and returnability and all this kind of stuff. So Interpublish, let's talk about what you all do for authors, for anybody who is now like panicking about going, why?
We can help. Yeah, no, we started out, Publish started out as a marketing platform. Our main technology is called a book bubble, and it allows you to share branded excerpts that you enrich with an author insight, and you share them to social media. and people can read the excerpt, your author insights, see your face, your book cover, explore different aspects, kind of like they would in a bookstore,
Mm-hmm.
and then go to the product pages where your book is available and buy the book if they would like, or follow you or share your content. And we drove a lot of people to product pages, but we didn't always see conversions. So that's when we evolved into offering author services to help people with their product pages, their book covers, everything that goes into it. And then really to have full circle where we could really make an impact, got into distribution and, really being able to understand the channels and how to use what's available there to get the author discovered there. And each channel is unique. We run Amazon ads for our authors as part of our service. And, we have some exciting news around Ingram coming up. That's going to give us some new tools there. And basically go to the American bookseller shows, join the organizations, meet them, and then they open our emails and can content market to them. We go into the library market. They're very different markets, bookstore and library.
Mm-hmm.
And, those are longer term plays, but they know us. When we go, we're treated like a small press instead of a self-published. There's really very little difference if you have a quality book produced and it's in the right channels and it's managed in a way that they can discover it, buy it at the terms that they're used to from the people they're used to dealing with. So that's kind of where our expertise lays and how we're a little different from the other aggregators, but you can get it all in one place, one dashboard, all your sales and royalties.
And this is really a big deal because we have a variety of different people here, from people who are doing passion projects, from people who are writing a book to grow their business. So they're using it as a tool to get more speaking gigs, or to as a business card, basically, to say, I've written this book, I'm the expert in this field. And then people, some fiction, a lot of children's book authors, and then people who are all over the place. Like I write fiction, nonfiction, and I'm writing a children's books, so there's a lot of different things. But I think that the common thread that I have found throughout the last 6 years of working with authors is that, even if we start off with one goal, a lot of times once our book is published and we expect like thousands of sales to come in and it doesn't happen, like all of a sudden we're like, okay, well, I know that I said at the beginning that this was just a passion project, or this was just something for me to sell at the back of the room, but I really want to see book sales. I really want to be on a bestsellers list. I really want to do X, Y, and Z. So at that point in time, then people start really thinking about all the different tools and about why they might want to expand and sell in other places. And they want to see their book in the airport or at the Target or, wherever. And I don't think a lot of people, I will say that I think self-publishing, as wonderful as it has been for so many authors, has also done a huge disservice to authors, because now everybody thinks that they can publish a book and they just have this idea that it will be everywhere and it will be easy and libraries will want it and bookstores will want it. And then you start digging into it and you realize there's a lot of intricacy to this business. So one thing that I really like about businesses like Publish, like Kathy's company, is that you absolutely can figure it all out on your own. No doubt. It will take you years and years and years and years and years and years and years. And oh, by the way, what you learned last year might be different next year because technology is changing so much. And you better hire an entire team. Right? And distribution is big, and it takes a lot of time to know the ins and the outs, to go in. She was mentioning different dashboards. So with all these different places, you have to have an account, go in, upload all your information, fill in all your keywords, fill in all your stuff. So basically what Kathy is telling you is she's saying, we're going to give you the straight distribution to Barnes and Noble, to the wholesalers, to Amazon, to Kobo, to all of these places. And you only have to give us your stuff once.
Yes, we do manage the fun of uploading for people, and it is increasingly, challenging, and there's lots of little specks here and there. But I think, like you were saying, when people try to shift gears after they launch, the hard thing about that is it can be done, but we just love it when we can work with someone early and say,
Sure.
okay, you think the library market is going to be big for you. You 4 to 6 months in advance of your launch want to submit
Mhm.
for review at these, review publications, because that's where the library market goes to
Mhm.
find their next reads. And if you do that, and there's other things around that, the same with, the bookstore market, the
Right.
same with, every channel has, um, again, those tools, and so many of those tools really are much more effective if you start using them well before launch. At least plan,
Yes.
a strategy of when they kick in and when you use them, and when you pull that lever versus another lever and go into one channel, because there's that whole, bandwidth issue. So we really did see a need for that. I
Mhm.
think in the beginning of this amazing shift in publishing, it was just, you just got your book into the channel, and
Right.
that was enough,
Right.
because it was new and there weren't a lot of books and you could make a lot of money. And now it's pretty cutthroat. There's
Yes.
70,000, and this is a conservative estimate, 70,000 books published each month. So
Wow.
it's more than in the history of mankind. And at the same time, we have, so many other inputs of information because of, just the way that social, everything. So to get a person's attention, and to, make sure you have the right pitch to them and there's a good fit and they're going to become part of your community, that takes a lot of little things to be just so.
Yeah, I
So
agreed so much. And
yeah.
I mean, just the technology and the algorithms and the categories
Mm,
and all these kinds of things, they change so much, and keeping a handle on what's actually working. I mean, for a long time, everybody in the industry, I should say, would kind of roll their eyes when somebody would hit number one in a category on Amazon, because anybody could do that. I'm noticing it is getting harder and harder and
yeah.
harder. It used to be if you launched and you had the categories and keywords correct and you had even two orders, I mean, something so small, two orders and a handful of reviews, other than like some of the mega, mega, mega categories, you could rocket right to the top of a category,
Yeah.
easy peasy. But it's getting a lot more challenging. And a lot of other things that have to be done in the metadata done properly. So even if you are self-publishing your book, which is the nice thing, you're not taking publishing rights, right? You are still self-publishing people. You're
Oh
just
yes, yeah. We are granted the right to be the distributor.
right to the
So
distributor.
only one entity or person can distribute a
Right.
particular format in a particular channel. So you're granting us that right,
So do
only
you,
that right.
okay, but they're still technically self-published books,
Yes, they
self-published
are.
authors. Okay.
Yes,
So,
absolutely.
this gives you a beautiful solution, because you can still be self-published with all of the benefits of having
Mhm.
a well educated publishing arm behind you. So I'm a big fan of Kathy. I'm a big fan of Publish.
Thank
I
you.
always have been. I
Oh,
need to
excellent.
utilize the tools better because I really enjoy them. Um, but I just love having watched the massive expansion, because when I came in, it was just a marketing tool,
Yeah.
and a fun
But
marketing.
that's, yeah, the thing that's interesting as we evolved into, especially into distribution, was this idea that, um, how powerful, you remember New York publishers, like
Mhm.
that's what they dominated, were the
Mhm.
distribution channels. They were
Absolutely.
not consumer facing. Publishing sold to bookstores through these massive, distribution channels. And then people went into the bookstores and there was a curated collection. And so you pretty much anything you were interested in, you went to your shelf. And so now they've become much more consumer oriented because
Right.
they can also direct sell. And the whole industry has become just much more direct to the consumer in all entertainment, right? And all these personal brands are built, and that's what people connect with, the content that those creators give them, and they become a fan base. So it's a, not only did publishing change, but marketing changed. But the thing with the self-published world is that it started out fine to just go to that consumer world, and you still can, but if you really want to get lift, you got to go broad, and you've got to understand all the channels that are available to you, and that's back end stuff. A lot of it's back end stuff.
It's a lot to learn. Let's talk to our different audiences just really quickly before we wrap up. Somebody who's already published, somebody who's thinking about or in the process, they're writing their book, they're getting it to editing, all this kind of stuff, and somebody who is just still thinking about whether or not they want to publish a book. Do they all start the same way? Do they all what's the process like for them? How do they get involved with you guys?
So we love to work with people as early in the process as possible, because we love to impart knowledge that will help them craft a plan. We actually have a great blog series called Building Your Publishing Timeline, and it goes into what I call the dependencies that are involved in marketing and the developmental stage, the production stage, the marketing and distribution phase. But the one thing that goes through all of that is marketing. It really does start in the manuscript, in the concept, in the refinement of that concept. So we love to work with people at the positioning phase, so we can really help them think about, who are you writing this book for and why? What do you really hope to achieve? Exactly what you said. Be really honest with yourself. If you want to be, a USA Today or New York Times bestseller, there are some very specific things you need to do. If you're building a brand, maybe it's more important for you to sell a bunch of units for 99 cents as ebooks than it is to make a lot of money off of those. However, if you've got a series, maybe it's that buy through. If you're more seasoned, maybe it's about margins. So really thinking about it with a business mindset early. We love to work with authors on that. And we have a variety of ways that you can work with us. If you're 6 to 9 months beforehand, we'd love to, help you with your covers and interiors. Covers we do them a little bit differently because we are metadata geeks. Because, the online world is really ruled by algorithms, like you said, and these giant databases are very literal. They don't read human language, they read keywords. And so understanding that your book cover is your biggest and most important piece of metadata. People so the words that you put on your cover are the words that you can enter in these fields of information: title, subtitle, series title. I'll tell you how often I'm surprised that people who are planning to write a series never indicate on book one that it's part of a series. Or it kind of morphed into a series, which does happen. But now if you can say it's going to be a series, and then you can add the next chapter of the next book to the back and set up your pre-order. So your whole launch strategy is basically book one starts to sell book two. There's a lot you can do if you plan more strategically, like a business would. And that all starts with your goals. And then, if you're about to publish, we have a tool, the ebook creator and Rough Cut Book Bubbles. It's really the only tool in the world where you can upload your manuscript or pieces of it and start sharing while you're writing. When you're done, you can click a button and you'll have an ebook that's ready to distribute. And the Rough Cut Book Bubbles, we've had people get hundreds of thousands of views before they even launch their book. So just kind of telling the world it's coming, and you can put a pre-order button on there and drive people to your pre-order, and it shows you all the metrics on your dashboard. So
they're such cool tools.
Thanks. More to come. Exciting things to come.
I should just close down my business and work for Publish.
Come on down to Charleston. Come on down to
Oh my
Charleston.
gosh, it's really exciting. What I love the most about it, like I said at the very beginning when I introduced her, is one, she has a very long time career in this industry, so knowledge, but the fact that you bring a very important blend of you're kind of a unicorn. The fact that you understand tech, you understand metadata, you understand all these things that like a marketing that are to me like left side, right side, like differences. But the fact that you and Publish seems to understand all of them all in one place, it's super important for placement, distribution, and eventual sales of books.
We just had Dan Blank of We Grow Media on, and he just did a great presentation about like, don't look at your audience, don't talk, there is no audience is basically what he said. There are only readers, and every
Uh-huh.
reader is an individual. And the more you can really just celebrate and learn from them and genuinely grow, the more you'll enjoy marketing, for one thing. The more integrated it will be into your publishing journey, because so many times authors think, okay, here's my craft hat, I'm writing now, and then they have their business, oh, I'm working with a cover designer and I'm doing things around marketing, well, and then they have the whole other marketing bucket. And in reality, in a traditional house, those are teams of people working together in tandem because of the dependencies, that happen throughout the publishing process. So we're really trying to address that. And I think I was telling you beforehand, we're trying to kind of scale our brains with Publish 2.0 coming, which would be a more guided process that has information and market data throughout. Like, you're in the writing process, you should be thinking about these pieces of the marketing process, like the positioning, your comparable titles, what is really happening in your part of the book marketplace, and what can you learn that might shape the way you publish, and oftentimes it actually shifts the book you publish.
Absolutely. I've
Yeah.
seen that
So,
happen a few times.
and the trends are just accelerating because there's so much content and there's so much accessibility to the content, and there's so many different media for the same content now that the trends just go faster and faster. So, a lot of people go into their craft bubble, and because they don't want to really think about the publishing and the marketing, but then when they come out and there's not an audience there, it's not a great moment. So we kind of have a mission to make people more comfortable with the concept that it's just all part of the journey, and it doesn't have to be awful. It's actually, it's just it makes it a more cohesive and more successful journey, really, in the end.
I agree. Well, make sure you head on over to publish.com. They have phenomenal resources on the website, a great blog, a monthly webinar or weekly webinar. Is it
No,
weekly?
it's monthly. It's monthly.
Monthly
Right?
webinar series.
Ooh, that'd be a
And
lot.
that is a lot. And we will have Kathy back on for one of our monthly webinar series, specifically to get into the tools of Publish so that people can see what we're talking about. If that's all right with you. I didn't
Yeah, I love that.
announced that this is what she's going to do, because I think it's cool to talk about it, but when you really see it in play, then you're like, oh my gosh, that's cool. And maybe I'll get Angel of the Burning Night started up in there so we can use my book as a sample. If you want.
Perfect. We'd love it. We'd love it.
But
Bring it
this
on
has
over.
been fun and very
Yes,
insightful
always.
as usual. Any place other than publish.com you want to direct people? Or is that?
Yeah, just come on over to publish.com. Hopefully you can join one of our webinars. And I think I was sharing with you we are doing a new fundraising campaign, which is pretty cool, new ways. It's kind of like Kickstarter, but you can actually invest in Publish. There's a ton of great perks, and helping us build this next wave of publishing technology, which is going to have a lot of intelligence to guide authors through and inform them as they go through the process, like how to do this right.
I'm excited about it. We will
Yeah,
make sure
thanks.
that all the links are here so that people can click away and really help get that out there, because I think it's going to be such a cool tool that's so useful. So
Thank you. Yeah. I mean, we're kind of in the trenches with authors every day. And this is the thing we see the most is like, oh, I wish I'd known that.
yes,
Or I wish I'd
I've
known
got a
that.
whole list. I've got a whole list of those. All right. Thank you so much, Kathy. I
Thank
appreciate it.
you. Thanks for having me. Have a great one.
Thanks, you too.